Yes, we have. Yes, good that you sent a message. What's your name? Yeah. You've sent Aishu. You good that you sent a message, right? What she says is, yesterday we have seen the last session. We have seen how to connect to the database. Okay, and database I have shown you only the import connectivity mode. We will continue from there. Okay, and then we will continue with SQL Server. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay, what is database? First of all, what is database? Type it in the chat window. We discussed about the database. Database is Microsoft service, right? It's a web application. It was developed by Microsoft research team. Okay, using database, you can store the data in a more secured way, and once you store the data secured way in the database, it can be shared. Okay, you can share the data to other people, or even in your company, within your company. If you want to share the report or any data set, you can publish it in database so that people across the globe with their respective privileges, access privilege, they can access the data that the appropriate data, they can access it from the website or from the database. Okay, irrespective of the location where they live. It's kind of a centralized place, okay, because it's a cloud, right? Database is an open source web application developed by the Microsoft team. It is a web, right? It's on cloud. Since you publish the data or create the data on the database cloud, you can enable the other employees in your company to access the data with appropriate privileges. Okay. It supports, but the database, it supports wide range of data types, which include structured, unstructured, and tabular data also. Okay, it provides features of data versioning. Importantly, the data version. Okay, version controlling. All these features are possible with the database. Okay, and in the last session we have seen it. In the last session we have seen it how to connect to database and how to extract the table data into the Power BI desktop. We'll continue from there. Okay, I just open a browser. So how do I go? How do I get to the database? So in the browser, make.powerapps.com. Press enter. Yes, it got connected, and since I already signed up with the Power Apps, so okay, I was able to log in with that credentials. Once you log in with your credential or sign in with your credential, next time when you open it, will get connected automatically. See, look here, it got signed in automatically. Okay, because of the cookies, all the things. And next one is you need to check the this thing. So the database. Okay, you just go here and check database. You just search in the database. Start from database. It is there. You just click on it. This is how you can access the database. Previously, there was an icon here, the database icon. If you click on it, what are the tables that are available? You should be able to see. Now look here, when I clicked on the start database, I have some connection. In your case, you need to create a new connection. How do you click on the new connection? And you need to go here and search it Microsoft database. You click on it and create it. When you create it, what will happen is it will ask the username and password. And if you give your username password, right? It will get connected. So in my case, I already created it. Okay, simply you just click on start from database. And I'm going to click on this. That's it. Once you click on this one, you can see all the tables that are available as part of database. These tables I did not create it. Someone else already created it. It is available. All we need is we wanted to see if we can extract the data from accounts table into my Power BI desktop. Okay. How do I do that? For that, you need to have the connection detail. Look here. Here you will find the, sorry, you will find something like this. One second, it is not there. Accounts table, and you look here, the settings, the wheel icon you need to click on, that is the settings. And if you click on the session details, next to the instance URL, you can see the instance URL. All you need to just select the server name, that's all. Okay, the cloud server name. Right click on it and copy this. Copy this, that's it. You just copy this, that's it. Okay. Once you are done this, you click on close and go back to your Power BI desktop. And then you will find something called database here itself. Or you can go to the get data, there also you will find the database. Here also the database is available. Click on it here. Here, when you use to connect the database first time, it will ask you the server name and username and password. Since I've already mentioned the server name and username and password, next time, right, I'm connecting this one more than one time. Hence, what happens, it directly connects to the database without asking the server name and username password. Okay. Now it got connected to the database for this one. Okay. And click on this icon. It will show all the tables that are available in the database on the right side. What we are seeing is the navigator window. The navigator window, it will show you the data. Okay, for example, all these tables are available. Next to the account table, I'm going to click on this checkbox. You need to select which tables you want to load it. Okay, in this case, I just want to load only one table, account table. Now it is loading the data. Okay, the preview data. It is trying to load the preview data. But the account table have only 10 records in it. Since I already used it, I know very well. It has only 10 records in it. Okay, but the number of columns are more. Let us wait for some time until it displays the review data. Since the number of records are just 10, it will show all the 10 records here. Okay. And the columns also, the columns that belongs to the account table also, you can see it here. Okay, it will display the preview data here. Since this account table have only 11 records, it will show the 11 records here. But the number of columns are more, maybe because of which it is taking time. Okay, I'm going to hit the load button. Instead of whatever you see the data, the same thing you can see it in the data view also. I just clicked on the load button. Now it shows two options. Yesterday we tried with the import. The default connectivity mode is import in the case of database. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. This though we have seen it in the yesterday session, still I will show you because I'm going to continue with the direct query mode for the database. Still it is creating a connection to that one, okay, the cloud, and also it is creating connection in our model. Ten rows loaded. Like I said, that account table have only 10 records in it. All the 10 records are being loaded now. Let's wait for a few seconds. Yes, the account table got imported locally into my Power BI desktop. If you click on this icon, it gets expanded and it shows all the columns that belongs to this table. My God, so many columns are there. So what I am going to do is I'm going to click on the pie chart. So this is what your pie chart, you just click on it once, it will get dropped here automatically. Now the pie chart got created with dummy data so that you will get to know once you populate the data into it, how it looks like. Okay. So now I'm going to see the number of employees. Same thing. Yesterday I have shown you the same thing. And the other one is account name. In each account, how many number of employees are there? You can see it here. Good. Now we can connect to the database via Power BI desktop. But this time I have used the import connectivity mode. Let's just try the same thing. I'm going to click on the database one more time. This time we are going to try the direct query mode. So the same step, expand this, select the account table, hit load, wait for some time. This time I'm going to select the direct query mode. I'll explain you what is the difference between these two. In the case of import, the entire data and the table structure gets loaded locally into your Power BI desktop. When you use direct query mode, it will not load the data into your Power BI desktop. Instead, it will just load the structure of the table. That's all. The table name, column names, that's all. But the data will still remain in your cloud itself. It will not get loaded or downloaded into your Power BI desktop. Evaluation completed, done. Look here, account 2 is the, since I have used this, I have used the same table to load the data here, right? The second time when I use the same table name, it puts 2 here, okay? If you click on this icon here, it will show all the columns that belong to these columns and these columns, whatever, both of them are same only. Only difference is the connection mode is direct query mode for the second one, okay? And this time I'm going to create the same pie chart. I'm going to drop the account name, same columns and everything is same. But only difference is the type of connection mode, number of employees. I'll just put, okay. Now I'm going to click on something called slicer. Can you all see it here? This slicer, I'm going to click on this and then I want to use this slicer. And I want to use one more slicer, 2 slicers. What is slicer? Using slicer, you can view the segment of the data, specific portion of the data. Here I'm going to, okay, in the account to table, the account name, I'm going to drop it here. And in this case, for this, I'm going to use the account tables account name here. Now the question is, what is the difference between import and direct query mode? The number one difference is, in the case of direct query mode, the data will not get loaded. Look here, if you select this table uses direct query and cannot be shown the data. Okay, because the data resides in your database itself, but only the structure, the skeleton of the table got loaded. This is called your metadata, the skeleton. The table name and the columns belongs to that table name. You can see it here, but the data is not loaded locally. Whereas if you click on account table, we have used the import connectivity mode. Hence, the data got loaded into your Power BI desktop. Hence, we are able to see the data here. And here the table and the table columns and the data also loaded. Whereas in this case, only the table and the columns belongs to this table are loaded. That is called your metadata. But the actual data was not loaded here. That actual data is still sits in your the database, okay, in cloud. Okay, now I just move to I switch to the report view. So here I have used the account name from the account table because this visual, for this visual, right, we have used the account tables columns, account name and number of employees from account table. Account table, we have used it in the import mode, okay, whereas the next visual is direct query mode. Okay, in this case, this slicer, for this slicer, I have used the account to tables account name. Look here, if we select this visual, let me do one thing. If I select this visual, the tick mark got moved to your account table because this account name column is available in my account to table. Okay, next what I do is, for example, if I select couple of account name here, account name, you just think it's kind of a department name. Each department, how many number of employees are there? If I select these four, it display this one. What is the big deal? Okay, it will apply the filter here. The slicer is kind of a filter. Don't show me all the departments employees. Show me the employees belong to the account name which I selected. And for example, if I select Adventure Works and Alpine, right, these two things, and Blue Yonder and City Power and Coho. Okay, so whatever the items that I selected, the corresponding values get, or the corresponding data gets refreshed automatically in this visual. And in this case, also the same thing. For example, if I select Adventure and these things, right, you can see the performance pretty faster in the case of import mode. So these two things are import mode, right? From the imported account table, we have used the columns here. Even if I change it every now and then in the slicer, still it is fast, right? Faster. Whereas in this case, if you change it, it will be slow here. If you keep change, when the report user, let's say you develop the report, you are the report developer. Once you develop the report, you need to share it with the report user. The report user, they are the one doing the analysis. When they keep change it, what will happen is, when you change it, what will happen is Adventure Works all fine, and only for this account name, go to database. In the database account table, you can take the data only for these four account names and put it here. It has to go from your Power BI desktop to the cloud as whenever you make changes here. But whereas in this case, whatever the changes you make it, whatever the selection that you make it here, since the data are available locally, the refreshing time, the visual refreshing time will not be too high. Got it? This is the difference between direct query mode and indirect query mode. It's something like, the food is available locally in your home to serve people, right? What are the items they ask it to serve it within your house? It will not take much time. Whereas what are the item the requested by the people, right? In that case, You need to go and buy the item from outside hotel. The same thing is happening here because the kitchen is not available. We have to go and buy it from there is a wait time. There will be a slow down here. If the data is available locally, the performance will be faster. If the data is not available locally, in this case, direct query mode, the data is not loaded directly into my Power BI desktop. Yes, Aishu, you are correct. Divya, you are also correct. The data is not available locally for direct query. Now the question is, Aishu asked a good question. So when can I use import? When can I use direct query mode? If you are making frequent selections in your slicer, then you can better go for import. But there is a, there is a caveat here. Okay, you cannot use import for any data. If the volume of the data are very huge, let's say you have 1 billion records or 100 million, 150 million records are there. If you load it into your Power BI desktop from the cloud, it will take a lot of time. You require a lot of network bandwidth. Okay, but in right in that case, you lot of it take time, but still the data is available. If you download it locally, it take a lot of time, right? The import is simply it will download the data from your cloud database into your Power BI desktop. If the volume of the data is very huge, it will take longer time to load the data into your Power BI desktop. Hence, the volume of the data is very high. Let that database, hold the data. I'm not going to download it. Okay, whatever the selection that I make it here, and then each time it queries the database table, account table data, and then that data comes back to your visual. Okay, there will be delay, right? It has to go to the database based on the selection that you made it. It has to go to the database and bring those data here, because in the database it has to find out how many number of employees are there in the database table, right? So in that case, it has to go for these 4 departments. What are the how many number of employees are there? It has to go and bring it from each and every time when you make a changes here. It queries your source system database. In this case, it will query that source system directly. But whereas here, since the data is available locally here, it need not to go to the cloud and all. Okay, it can do the kitchen is available locally, you can cook it fast. If the kitchen is not available locally, okay, if the shop is too far, okay, and even if the shop is nearby, they don't deliver it on time, right? Again, depends on the hotel crowd. If they don't have any crowd, they will deliver it instantly. Now, the same analogy is applicable here. Every time when the user is kind of a menu, okay, if you select these items, it is not available locally. It has to go and pick up from the outside and it has to show it here, populate this data. Whereas in this case, the data is your kitchen is here itself, right? You can, whatever they ask it, you can go and cook it. You can deliver it in a pretty fast manner. Hence, import is pretty faster compared to direct query mode. But again, we cannot generalize this. Direct query mode works very well for huge data. Supposing you have too many visitors to your house. In that case, can you cook it at your home? No, right? Simply what you do, you order it to a hotel. The same thing, because the volume of the data is very high. In that kind of situation, you cannot load the data here. Loading the data into Power BI desktop will take longer time, hence use a direct query mode. Hope it's clear to you all, right? This is the difference, high level difference between these two. Every time in this case, direct query mode, it queries the database, because the database, the source, that is where the data is there. The data were not loaded here. Only the metadata got loaded here. What do you mean by metadata? The table name, column name. It's like a menu. In the menu, you can see only the food items, right? Different food items. You cannot find the food there, right? It's kind of a menu. Hence we call it as a metadata. What is metadata? Data about data. Data about data. It is called so the metadata on the table relationship. Only these two things get loaded into your Power BI desktop. In the case of direct query mode, that actual data will not get loaded here. When the import mode, the actual data get loaded here locally. Got it? Yes. So hope you understood what is database and how do we pull the data from database using import as well as the direct query mode. And also I discussed what scenario you can use import mode in when you can go for direct query mode. Okay, next one is we will see. I think we can take a look at it here itself. Okay, we will take a look at how to connect to the SQL Server. Okay, and I'm going to assume that all of you have already installed SQL Server and SSMS. If you have not yet done, don't worry. Sometimes tomorrow by lunch also I will be helping out. Anyhow, I'm traveling tomorrow. Let me see. You just mail me. Best thing, you can watch my video and do the installation. Okay. Do the installation of SQL Server. Those of you have not yet received the credential, still you can click on the preview button and you can watch the in the introduction video and even the installation videos also you can see it. Okay, fine. Currently I'm in the SQL Server Management Studio, and what I will say, once you type SSMS in your start button, it will get launched with these details automatically. You don't have to make any changes here to connect to the SQL Server Management Studio. Click on the connect. I'll just give you a quick idea about what exactly the SSMS, what you are seeing is the SSMS, the short form of SQL Server Management Studio is called as SSMS. It is very much developer friendly. Even people with zero programming background, with SSMS, they can perform basic data analysis using SQL. Okay. Just give me a second. I have some guest. Really sorry, we'll continue. Okay. So now I have connected to the SSMS. So like I said, SSMS is a short form for SQL Server Management Studio. It is a Microsoft product using which we can connect to the SQL Server. So in what we do is first we install the SQL Server. You need to install the SQL Server first. Okay. This is the first step. And second step is you need to install SSMS. Okay. Once you install the SQL Server successfully, next step is SSMS. It's all pretty simple. You can watch my video. And using SSMS, you can write the SQL queries. Okay, you can write the SQL queries. You can create the tables, all the objects, tables, triggers, indexes, views, and stored procedure, stored function, synonyms, everything here. Okay, and you can use the alter commands also, alter table, alter, everything is possible. In the case of SSMS, but with SSMS, just you point and click the menu, it will automatically generate the SQL query. Okay, that doesn't mean you don't have to write any query. You have to write SQL query, but certain basic operation it is taken care automatically by SSMS. You don't have to remember every basic syntax for the SQL query. For example, you want to create a table, you just point and click on it, it will generate the table script automatically. If you want to insert the data into a table, everything is possible. Hence, SSMS, this tool, what you are seeing currently is developer friendly. Okay, it so certain basic operations, it generates the SQL queries automatically. Even the DDL, DML statements also generate automatically. We will discuss in detail what is DDL, DML when I cover SQL topic. Okay, at this moment, for the sake of continuity, to understand how do we access a table which is available in my SQL Server using Power BI Desktop. And then how do I pull the data using import and direct query mode. And then we will see, is there any way that instead of pulling the tables, is there any way if I can execute a query from my Power BI desktop? That is the second task or exercise that we are going to do it. And third exercise is there any way I can execute an SQL stored procedure from my Power BI desktop? Okay, that we are going to see it now. So now you understood the big picture. You need to install the SQL Server first. This is the order you need to do follow. Okay, and then you need to install the SSMS. It's something like before surgery, doctor has to give anesthesia, and then only they have to do the surgery. If they do the surgery and then if they give the anesthesia, does that make sense? No, right? The same way, first install the SQL Server and then install the SSMS tool. Using SSMS, we write SQL queries, we create tables, we insert the data, delete the data, everything we can do it with SSMS. SSMS developer friendly. That is the reason why we are using SSMS. Now I have connected to the SSMS. Don't worry about connecting all the things. See, if you want to connect, see, once you launch this tool, see, how do I launch this one? In your keyboard, you just press the Windows key. It will open something and you just type SSMS. That's all. You can see the icon, you click on it, it will launch. After a while, it will get launched. You need to have a lot of patience, okay? Don't click it multiple times, it will open it multiple times. Your system will be slowed down, okay? The performance will get slowed down. Okay, once you launch it, you will see something like that. You don't have to change or type anything here. Simply hit connect button. The SSMS now gets connected to the SQL Server. Let us wait for some time until you get connected there. In the real-time scenario, let's say you are working in a real-time project. In that case, the SQL Server software will not be available in your local system. Maybe you have access to the management studio, but in that case, look here in the connect button, you need to click on it. You need to give your Azure SQL Server name here. Instead of giving the local SQL Server name, you need to specify the cloud Azure SQL Server name here. That's all. Okay. In the interview, they ask you, how did you connect to the SQL Server? So we have the SQL Server cloud. We have we were working on Azure SQL Server. We have the Azure SQL Server name. By giving the Azure SQL Server name in SSMS, it gets connected. Okay, you need to tell that way. Don't tell the SQL Server install locally. Don't tell that way. Okay, everything is on cloud nowadays. Now, if you see here, databases, next to the database plus icon, if you click on it, it will get expanded. It will show all the databases that you have created, recently or in the past. It will take some time to expand the databases or to show the databases, whatever you created. Apart from the databases, whatever you created, the system created database also, you can find it here. Anyhow, we are not going to touch that on at all because the system database are very much critical. We are not supposed to work on those tables. First of all, you will not have any access to that system databases. So these are the databases I already created. Okay. For example, I just click on the demo DB2. Next to the demo DB2, the plus icon, I clicked on it. In this time, it will expand this database and it will show all the objects that I created in the past. You can see it. This is what your SQL Server. Look here, the local host SQL Express. This is what your SQL Server. Okay. This is what your SQL Server. In a single SQL Server, you can have more than one databases, and each database, the demo DB, you can have a lot of objects like this. Okay. And in the case of tables, look here, A single database can have multiple tables. A single SQL server can have multiple databases. Similarly, each database can have multiple tables or objects in it. Look at these were the tables I created in the past. What I am going to do is I am going to keep the cursor on top of this table products. Okay, I just selected this one. I'm going to right click on it, and then you can see something like select top 1000 rows. If I hit that one, what is going to happen? On the right side, the blank space, right? The editor window will get open. The SQL editor window. This is where we write the SQL queries, okay? The blank space on the right side. And you can see that, what did I do? I just selected the products table. I right clicked on it, and then I clicked on select 1000 rows, okay? Look here, a query got generated automatically. What I did in the Object Explorer, this is what your Object Explorer, right? And here I just pointed the cursor here. I selected the products table, right clicked on it, select top 1000. And what it shows is a query got generated automatically. Select top 1000 product ID, category, price from the products table. You can see what the output of the query. So which is nothing but whatever the data we stored it in the products table, we can see it here with this query. Okay, select top 1000. In this case, we don't have 1000 records. How many records are there here? You don't have to count it. At the right bottom, you can see it here. 6 rows are there, right? 6 rows are there. In that case, you can specify 6 here. Okay, so 6. Or if you want to see only the first 4 records of this data set, out of these 6 records, you show me up to 4 records. Okay, you just select this query. Can you all see it here? The execute icon. Click on this execute and your query will get executed. The output of the query now gets showed. Like I said, it just show the first 4, top 4 record from this table. Instead of showing the entire data, if you want to see only the specific number of records from the top 4, you can use it. Okay, we will see that one later as part of SQL query. Okay, this is what my SQL query, everything is fine. Now what we are going to do with Power BI desktop, I'm going to connect to this table. Okay, what I will do is instead of this, I'm going to use some other table. I'm going to select another database. In this database, let us see any good tables are there. Yeah, good table, sales fact and product dimension, customer dimension. What I will do is I'll just close this one. Mistakenly, I clicked on it, and you can click on the cross button if you mistakenly select anything. Okay, and here product dimension is there. Right click on it, select top 1000. That's all, and it gives you, look here, this query, did I write it? No, right? This query got generated automatically by SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. We don't have to write any code. Again, I go to the Object Explorer. I'm going to select the sales fact table, right click on it, and I'm going to hit this one again. Look here, in this table, we have so many columns. I don't have to write a query. If you don't have the SSMS tool, you need to write this one manually, right? It saves a lot of time. In this case, it is fine. In the real world scenario, you will have hundreds or 50s or 100 columns will be there. Okay, so writing each and every column will take time. Instead, if you select the table in the Object Explorer, whichever table you want it is selected, right click on it, click on this, it will generate the SQL query on your behalf, right? And the output of this query, you can see it at the bottom here. The results window, you can see it here. And you can also scroll down and see it, okay? Because here you have, how many rows are there? 92 rows are there. Fine. So now what I do is I'm going to load the product table. So this is my product table. And the product table is currently available in SQL Server. I'm going to load it into my Power BI desktop. Look here, I'm going to click on SQL Server here. this icon I'm going to, you can go to get data. There also you can find the SQL Server, but since it is available here itself, I'm using it. And it is opening up a dialog window, right? So here it is asking me, what is the server name, SQL Server name, you tell me that. And what is the database name in that SQL Server you want me to connect it. But this is, the database name is optional, okay? And the server name, where I can get it, I just go to the SQL Server, go to the Object Explorer, and you can click on Connect Database Engine. And sorry, what I will do is Database Engine. And this is whatever you see it here. This is what your server name. So select this one. Select all the things, okay, in this thing, okay, in this one, you select all the entire value, okay, and right click on it, copy it, and then cancel it. I just go to the Power BI desktop, and here I just paste it here. This is what my SQL server name. In this SQL server, which database I want to access it? What is it? That is the next question. And this is my demo DB2. Look here, this is my demo DB2 database. So what I will do is I'll just type demo DB2. This is my database that is available in SQL Server. And this time I'm going to select import. Like in database, you have two connectivity mode, import and direct query. The same thing, you can see it in SQL Server also, import and direct query. So I'm selecting import. I'm going to hit OK now. Now my Power BI desktop is connecting to SQL Server demo DB2 database. In this database, what are the tables? These are the tables are available. What I need is I want to use the products table. No, not this one. Let me do one thing. I just here also you can click on it, and even you can go to the get data and select this one. Okay, here I'm going to and here this is, what is the name? Demo DB2, right? Demo DB. Okay, demo DB. In demo DB, in this database, see, to connect to this server. In this server, you have a database. Connect to this one in import mode. Now it will connect to the SQL Server database. Which database? Demo DB. In that demo DB, what are the tables are there? So these are the tables. I'm going to select the dim product table. How to select this table? Next to the table, you will find the checkbox. You click on it. On the right side, you can see the preview window. Yes, I'm fine with that. Hit load button. It will show some warning. You can ignore it by clicking on the OK button. Very good. So look here, the dim product table got loaded here. Can you all see it here? The dim product table got loaded here. Click on the icon next to that. You can see all the column that belongs to product dimension table. This data we got it from our SQL Server using import connectivity mode. Import, what is import connectivity mode? The data from your table will get loaded into your Power BI desktop itself. If you click on the data view, you can see the data that belongs to product dimension table. Because though the product dimension table is available in SQL Server, since we have used the import connectivity mode to connect to that, it downloads the entire data and the table name and column names for this locally. Look here. Now, if I switch to model view, we have something called model view. So account table, you remember account table, we have imported it from database. This account table, we have used the direct query mode, and then we loaded it here. In this case, only the metadata. So now, if you look at all the tables, what difference you can find it here? Yes, Aishu, you are correct. So on top of this table, you can see the blue colored line. As soon as you see the blue colored line, that means that table, you have used the direct query mode. Okay, fine. Now we are done with this. I just go back to the switch to the data view. and then I switch to my report view. Okay, now I'm going to use a clustered column chart. I'll just keep this here as it is because here I cannot use anything here. Okay, what I will do is I'm going to click on the SQL Server again, and I'm going to try to pull another table using direct query mode this time. Demo DB, direct query mode, and I'm going to hit the OK button. Yes, it opened up this navigator window. I'm going to select the sales fact table. I'm going to hit load. Remember that this sales fact table, I have used what connection? Direct connection mode, direct query mode. Okay. Product dimension and sales fact table. These two tables are available in my SQL Server. What are the tables? The product dimension and the fact table, right? The sales fact table. These two tables are already available. I wanted to load the product dimension table locally into my Power BI desktop. For that, I've used the import connect mode, whereas the sales fact table, I've used the direct query mode. In that case, the data will be available in my SQL Server itself. It will not get loaded into my Power BI desktop. Same as your database. In database, I explained you, right? The direct and import connectivity mode. Okay, now I have uploaded the sales fact table. So what I am going to do is I'm going to drop the product name here. And how many products are there here? Okay, let me do one thing. I'll go to the sales fact table. How much money we made in total? Okay, and sales amount, correct, right? Okay, it is not showing correctly. We need to create the relationship between these two tables. Product ID and product. Don't worry about this. You can ignore it. I'll explain all these things okay later. The relation. This is called your relationship. Product ID from this table. Product ID from my sales fact table needs to get selected, and then you need to drag and drop the column. So product ID, you drag it and drop it on top of the product ID of this column only. So now a relationship got created. If I go back to the report, you can see this. How much sales being made in each product. We can see that ice cream is sold more, right? Customers spend more on the ice cream because of the summer season. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so now you understood how we can connect to the SQL Server using import as well as the direct query mode, like how we did it with the database. Even in the case of database, I demonstrated how you can connect to database using import as well as the direct query mode. The same way in SQL Server, how we can use these two different connectivity mode. Fine. But in this case, if you see the product name, the product table came from this column, product name came from product dimension table. We use the import connectivity mode. And the sales amount column came from your sales fact table. So these two columns, the two columns which we use in product name and sales amount came from two different tables. Okay, but the product dimension table, we have used the import connectivity mode, whereas the sales fact table, we have used the direct query mode. Got it? I just clear this. I'm going to create another visual. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the product name and then the product ID. Not the legend. In the y-axis, I'm going to drop it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the count here. Product name, this thing. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll just go back here. Don't ask what I did. That I will explain it later, because if I explain it everything upfront, you will get confused. And let me do one thing. Okay, it is not doing the correct job. Product ID by product name. Okay, I'll just select the table visual. Okay, in cashew net we sold only one product. That is what it shows. Okay, let it be there. Let us not worry about this. Okay, let it be there. Okay, I just keep this here. Okay, as it is. And what I was thinking, right? I thought of showing something, the difference between the direct query mode as well as the import mode. Okay. What I am going to do is I just keep this as it is. Okay, let it be there. I'm going to connect to the SQL Server again. Listen very carefully. It's a very interesting one. Something popped up in my mind now. Demo DB. This time I'm going to use the import query again. I'm going to load the sales fact table once again, but this time I'm going to use the import connectivity mode. I'm going to select this sales fact table and load it here. But in real world, we are not going to load the same table again, okay? Just for you to understand the difference between import and direct query mode, I'm doing this one. This is very important, guys. Please remember that. For demonstration, performance point of view, okay? I just copy paste the same visual. Here, what I am going to do is I'm going to use product name comes from your product dimension table. Product dimension table, I have used the import connectivity mode. And this time I go to the sales fact table, which I loaded in the second time using import mode this time. So I'm going to remove this sales amount column here. Instead, I'm going to put the sales amount from my sales fact table. The sales fact to table, I have used the import connectivity mode. Okay, fine. Okay. The below one is direct query mix of the direct as well as import connectivity mode. The product name came from product dimension table. I use the import connectivity mode, whereas the sales amount came from a sales fact table, but the first sales fact table, I use the direct query mode. Okay, and this one, both the tables are available locally. So I'm going to remove this table now. It is not helpful. And I just click on this slicer. Now I'm going to apply some filter on these visuals. Okay, what I do is I will just drag and drop the product name here. If I select cashew net, both the visuals shows the cashew nut related sales, and I'm going to select ice cream, eggs, and dry grapes, and then milk. I'm going to select shaving cream, shampoo. Which one gets reflected pretty fast? As and when I select which visual is, getting changed fast. How many of you notice this? For example, if I select gel, coffee, this one, right? This one is, you can see the slide because both the tables are available locally. The product dimension table and then sales fact table, or we have used the import connect mode, hence the performance is pretty faster. But in this case, we have a mix of the import connectivity mode as well as the direct connectivity mode. Now, what I will do is I'll go one step further and I'll show you the impact of this one. And I'm going to click on the view ribbon. On the view ribbon, you will find something called performance analyzer. Click on it. Once you click on it, and you will find options like this, start recording. Click on it. A recording started. And then what it is, click on the refresh visuals. Again, you can click on it, refresh. So it will refresh both the visuals. Okay. three visuals, right? Yeah. So in this case, it will show refreshed visuals. For example, and if I expand this one, summer sales by product name. If I select this visual, look here, if I select this one, okay, if I select this table, no. Okay, if I select this slicer, look here, when I click on this slicer got highlighted, right? And when I select this one, this visual got highlighted. And here this visual, if I select this visual got, which means this statistics. So if I click on this one, what are the statistics that you see it here? That is related to this visual, this chart. In Power BI, we call chart as a visual. Please remember that. And for example, if I click on this, if I click on the second sum of sales, right, the second one, this one will get highlighted. So with that, we can understand these statistics are for this applicable for this, and this statistics applicable for this. And if you see, compare the time, the duration in milliseconds, okay? The DAX query, right? One behind the scene, it generates the DAX query. To generate a DAX query, it took 168 milliseconds, whereas in this case, the DAX query just took 75 milliseconds, okay? And the visual display just took 45 milliseconds, whereas in this case, the visual display was 73 milliseconds. Overall, if you see the 462, right? Here in this case, 462 milliseconds to populate the data here, whereas in this case, it took 771 milliseconds. Okay. Which one is faster? The lesser the time, right? Whichever visual took lesser time to populate the data, that one is better. Since these two tables, the product dimension and sales amount column comes from the imported tables, the performance is faster because both the tables data available locally. But whereas here, it has to go to the New Delhi to bring the data back to your visual. You just think that way, okay? Every time what happens, you make a selection, it has to go to the SQL Server and bring the data back here. And if you see a direct query, look in the direct query, what happens? In this case, we have used the direct query mode, because of which it has to go to the SQL Server, query the data, and then bring that data back to your visual. There is a back and forth here, whereas the data is available local here, in the sense that all the items are available at your home. If you cook it will be faster, but each and every time when you go and buy it from someone else, it takes time. The same analogy is applicable, principle is applicable here also. In the case of direct query mode, the performance is slow. In the case of import, but if the volume of the data are very, very huge, for example, the sales fact table, in general, the fact tables volumes are very high. Okay, in that case, import is not recommended. There will be a trade-off. Yes, it has to traverse from your Power BI desktop to SQL Server to pull the data from there, the relevant data. Okay, and populate your visual. It takes time. But if you use the import mode for the 100 million record, what will happen? It has to download the 100 million records via the internet to your Power BI desktop laptop. In that case, it takes a lot of time. Downloading itself will take 3 to 4 days time. Whereas in this case, it will not download the data. Simply, it generates the query behind the screen, like the direct query, right? The dash query, and it will send the direct query. Okay, it will send the query to your source system SQL query. There, the query will get executed, the place where the data exists there itself, right? And then the output of the data will be sent back. In the case of huge volume of data, use the direct query mode. Okay, in the case of moderate or less volume data, go for import mode. And this is the tool is very much helpful to understand. Let's say you have the many charts are there in your report, okay, or visuals. Which visual is causing problem? Which visual takes longer time? With this performance analyzer tool, it is kind of a diagnostic tool using which you can find out which visual takes longer time, so that you can focus only on that specific visual and then see is there any way you can do it in terms of improving the performance or speed. We are done. I'm going to click on stop. And yes, Aishu, don't worry. I'm going to explain the performance analyzer once again when I cover the performance tuning topic, and at the same time when I cover the data visualization part. It is too early to discuss, since you people to understand whether the import or direct query mode is faster. I just demonstrated this one with that diagnostic utility. Okay, the performance analyzer. Okay. Any questions with this? I believe all of you are able to understand, right? Okay. It's very interesting. Fine. So now we discussed about the import as well as direct query mode. And we discussed from the performance point of a demonstrator. Okay. And also I discussed at a high level when you can use import mode, when you can use direct query mode. There is a trade-off. Okay. So, and in this case, the product name column comes from your product dimension. The product dimension table, we have imported it locally, whereas the sales amount column came from sales fact table. This sales fact table, I have used direct query mode. We have a mix of import as well as direct query mode. Even in this case, right, it has to go to the SQL server for each product. It has to go there and perform the total sales on each product, and then it has to send the sum of sales on each product back to your visual. There is a back and forth, but still it is a trade-off. One way it is good because you don't have to import the huge volume of the data locally. Instead, you execute where the data is there. Okay, that is the whole idea here. Okay, the next one is in SQL Server itself. So in this case, we have imported the table and we have used the direct query mode. I have used the product dimension with import query mode, import connectivity mode, and sales fact. I've used the direct query mode. And again, I have loaded the sales fact table with the import connectivity mode. Okay. But in this case, I have loaded the table here first, and then I created the chart. Is there any way without loading the table, can I directly fire the query? Yes, you can execute a query directly from your Power BI desktop also. For example, if I click on the SQL server, for that you need to connect to the SQL server. I need to specify the server name. Okay, that server name is not there in my clipboard. I just select this one and I cancel it. I just go here and demo DB, right? Or demo DB, correct. And okay, in this case, what I do is I'm not going to hit the OK button now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select the import mode, connected mode. I'm going to click on the advanced options. Next to the advanced option, there is an icon. When I click on it, it gets expanded. Here you can specify the SQL query here itself. What will, when you give the query here and when you hit the OK button, a query will get executed. The output of the query will get loaded into your Power BI desktop. Okay. And before I do it here, I will just show you in here. Okay, what query I'm going to use it here. For example, I'm going to join these two tables. Okay. I'm going to reuse the same query. Select product ID and price. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the sales amount. Okay. Sales amount. I'm going to remove other things from this one we don't need, because we'll start with a very simple example so that you'll be able to understand. I don't want to make you to panic. Okay. And comma, and here what I do is I use the same thing. Demo DB2. 1 second. Sorry. what I will do is use demo DB, and the next line go. I'll explain everything, don't worry, okay? Okay, here I need to specify this one as P and this one as yes. Here I'm going to say yes dot sales amount and P dot product ID. And I'm going to say where P dot product ID is equivalent to yes dot product ID. What's wrong with this? It is not showing anything here, right? It is, these things are underlined with the red color thing. That means something wrong here. And let me just go back here and Object Explorer. And the demo DB, can we see the sales fact? Yes, it is there. If I expand it and columns, you can see product ID is available. And in this case, the product dimension table, we have a column called product ID. Okay, all small letter. It doesn't matter here. Okay, product. Okay, it's a small. We'll give the small letter here. Product ID, and it's fine. You can give the caps also. That's okay. But why this table is not okay? Invalid object name demo DB2. Okay, demo DB. This one, right? Sorry, demo DB, not demo database. Okay, demo DB. Okay. Invalid object name dbo.products. In the demo DB, where is the demo DB? 1 second. This is a demo DB. Okay, it is there. Sales fact and okay, everything is there. Use demo DB. Okay, and here the select product ID. Dim products. Oh, okay. It is a dim product, right? Dim product. Sorry. Okay, it is a dim product, not products table. Dim product. It is there here itself. Okay, you just type the first 3 letters of the table. That's it. You don't have to, the sales fact. There is a space here I mentioned, right? Look here, the sales fact you say. So you don't require. So now you don't see any red colored underlined one, right? That means the syntax is correct. And I mentioned about the wrong table names. Okay. Instead of giving the sales fact table name together, I left blank here. Okay. You can leave a blank, but actually the actual table name, it doesn't have any blank space in it. Okay. But the products table is not available. Instead, the dim product is there. Okay. Now what I did, I created a query. Okay. Don't worry about this query. How to create all these queries. I will explain everything in step-by-step manner when I cover the SQL query. But I'll give you the big picture. What this query is doing it. See, in the case of there are 2 tables, product dimension and sales fact table. In the product dimension table, we have the product ID, product name, and unit price. But the sales amount is available in sales fact table. The product name, for example, instead of product ID, I'm going to use the product name. Okay, it gives me the more meaningful thing. Product space and name. Look here, you just select it in the drop down. Okay, just type 3 letters of the column name, it gives it. So the product name is available in my product dimension table. And the sales amount is available for any specific product is available in sales fact table. Since these 2 column values are available in these 2 different tables, we need to specify the joining condition. What is the common column between these 2 tables? In sales fact also, I have a column called product ID, and the product dimension also have a column called product ID. Hence, these 2 columns are common between these 2 tables. You need to join these 2 tables in the where clause. In the where clause, you need to join these 2 columns which are common between these 2 tables. Why do I need to use the common column in the joining condition of my where clause from these 2 tables? Because you want these two columns from two different tables. Hence, you need to join these two tables. You cannot join these two tables blindly. In order to join these two tables, you need to use the common column between these two tables in the where clause. That's it, guys. If you get any error, don't panic. Okay, you just logically check go to the Object Explorer and see, okay, what error you are getting it. I just move this Object Explorer in the first place. And I just reduce the size of this one. Okay, auto hide or something like that. Okay. And the Object Explorer, if you click on it, you can see it here also. And okay, I just okay, I'll just use auto hide. Yeah, doc has tabbed document. You can see various options are available here. 1 second. Toggle pin status. Yeah. So this is the one. What I am going to do is I just move this here and there. I will try to reduce the size of this one. Okay. So that we can see, these two things together and Object Explorer. Okay. But again, it is getting 1 second. Let me do one thing. Show policy health all nodes. This is your disconnect and this is your connect thing. Toggle pin status. Okay. Okay. So this is your Object Explorer. Okay. And you can go and check. First, you need to check which database, which tables are available. Okay. Let's say your manager wants to see the data from the product product dimension table and sales fact table. So why do I call this the product dimension table? Though the table name is dim product, in practice this is how we call it. Yeah, right. When we call it, we say product dimension. But when we give the name to the table, we'll give dim product. This is the naming standard. We use it in most of the project, real-time project. Okay. So dim product. So product dimension table and sales fact table, these two tables are available. My manager wants to see a report wherein you can see the product name and for each product, what is the corresponding total sales we made it, the fact table. They want to see it. It's a transaction table. Okay, fine. In that case, you need to take these two tables, the product dimension table and then sales fact table. Since the two columns are coming from these two different tables, you need to join it. In order to join it, you need to have a common column between these two tables. Yes, it is already there. With this, if I execute this one, it gives me the, sorry, it is not giving the total sales. 1 second, I'll just give you the itemized total, right? In coffee, and can you see coffee here one more time? I think you should be able to see it. And here, unfortunately, ideally they should give some sort button here, okay? And coffee, tea, probably we can recommend Microsoft. Yeah, X, can you see X? More than one time it appears, right? It's something like X can be bought multiple time in a shop, right? So these are the transaction data. It shows simply, it is not showing the total sales for each product. Instead, each product, how much money sent in each transaction, we can see it. If you want to see the total sales for each product, that is also possible. We can use sum, okay? First, we'll start with a simple SQL query. My query, I tested it here. It is working fine. I right click on it, copy it, and then I go to the Power BI desktop. And here I paste it. And then I'm going to hit OK. You might be asking this one. So why the hell should I go to the Power SQL Server and create the query? And why do I need to do it here? Right? So can't I execute it there itself? Can't I see the data there itself? You can see the data there. But if you execute the query here, the data, the output of this query, what is the output of this query? Here, whatever you see it here at the bottom, right? The product name and sales amount. For this one, for this query, this is the data it retrieved from the table, right? This one will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. Once it gets loaded, you can use a chart. So because here you have a lot of visual, charts are available, right? You can create charts and you can see the data in charts. Okay, fine. Enough talking. I copy pasted the query here. Okay, you need to specify the SQL server name, the database name. In here, I just use the import. You can try with direct query also. I'm going to hit OK now. Look here, that query sent to the SQL server, and then the output of the query got loaded locally into my Power BI desktop. Because I've used the import connected mode, I'm going to hit load. See, it is the query one. The default name given to that SQL query was query one by Power BI desktop. Look here, the query one, you can see the query is output. What are the columns are there in the query? Product name and sales amount, you can see it. And if you go back to the data view, if you select the query one, you can see that in each product, right? How now, what are the transactions? See, coffee appears multiple times here, right? So it's transaction level, it gives me the data. Very good, right? Now you understood this one. So this query is, I've used the import connectivity mode. For this, I have used the import connectivity mode. Now the question is, can I use the same query in the direct query mode? I just hit the home ribbon. I hit the home ribbon and I'm going to click on the SQL Server again. I'm going to hit the advanced options here, and here you need to specify the SQL server name here. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just where is the object explorer? This is the one, and I'm going to click on connect database engine and right click on it, copy this, and then I just paste the server name. See, if you remember the server name, you don't have to go there. Simply you can type it. Aisha's question is, do I need to go to the SQL SSMS each time to get this server name? No need. You can put it in a notepad. All right. If you know the server name in a notepad or somewhere, if you put it right, and for example, notepad or some Word document, if it is there, you don't have to go each and every. You can store it here and you can put. But here I'm going to say, in which database these two tables are available, DemoDB. This time I'm going to use the direct query. I'm going to hit OK now. It is working fine. I'm going to hit load. The difference is in the case of direct query mode, the data will not get loaded locally. Query one got created. This is the direct query mode. Okay, I just rename it for your sake of understanding. Direct query. Okay, fine. I'm going to the data view, and then I'm going to take a look at this here. So in the direct query, if I click on it, it is not showing anything. Okay, whereas if I click on the imported query, you can see the output. Now you wanted to see the query, and is there any way you can see it? You can, next to the import query one, you can see three dots. This is called the ellipses. Click on it here, and then you will find something called, sorry, not this one, edit query. No, sorry, go here. Next to that, three dots are there. Click on it, and edit query is there. It is opening up in the Power Query editor. Okay, and that's all. So these are the thing, right? If you click on the source, this table, so this output came from using this SQL query. Okay, SQL query. Okay, and this is the server name, database name. This is the query used for this one. It gives you the detailed information. Okay, similarly, if you click on the direct query, and the direct query, if you click on the source, you can see that and in this case, the query, right, it shows something like this. Okay. Okay, now what I do is I just go over to the Power BI desktop. This time I'm going to change my query a little bit. Okay, I'm going to select the SQL Server again. And here I just paste the server name and then demo DB. This time I'm going to use the direct import query mode. And I'm going to click on the advanced options. I'm going to rewrite this query in my SSMS. Group by this one, p dot product name. Whenever you use the aggregation function like sum, min, max in your SQL query, you need to use group by. Okay. Each product, tell me what is the total sales. Don't give me in coffee, how many transactions, coffee one time, right? 100 rupees they paid. Again, another customer came to my shop, he paid 100. Again, another guy came, he had a coffee, 100 rupees. I don't want to see, each and transaction level. I don't want to see. Tell me in coffee total sales, how much we made. Tell me in X, how much total sales we made. Okay. For that, we need to use group by product name. Group by product name, sum. All right. I'm going to use the query. This query is a little bit different. In this case, if you see the output, it just show the 13 records because we sell only 13 records. But if you see this query output, you can see many records are there because this gives you the transaction level detail. This gives you the summarized sales for each product. I just give some column name for this as because no column name here, right? You can use some alias name for this. Total sales, something like that. Okay, for this. You can see the total sales we made in each product. See, coffee, we saw two transactions, coffee 100, coffee 100. It got summarized. So coffee, you tell me, don't give me how many transactions, how many times customer came and how much money each time they paid. No, I want to see the total amount we made in coffee, total amount we made in cashew nut. Using the sum function, with the combination of group by only, you can do this one. This query, I'm going to copy it and then go and execute it in my SQL, in my Power BI desktop. And in this case, I use the import connector mode. I'm going to hit OK. And it is loading fine. It's okay. Okay, it's cool. As usual, it is no business as usual, right? If there are no issues, fine. In the import mode, it is working. Now we will test it with the direct query mode, the same query. This is not required. I just close this Power Query editor. Unnecessarily, it is slowing. It may slow down the performance. Okay, I just close it. And now what I do is I just click on the get data and again SQL Server. I'm going to expand the advanced because already in my clipboard, this query is there, group by, right? And again, you need to specify the, like I said, right, this is already made. I don't have to go each and every time and demo DB. Okay. This time I'm using direct query mode and I'm going to hit OK now. Even this time it works and I'm going to hit load. It is working fine. I have demonstrated how to execute a query in Power BI with these two examples, with these two queries. Okay. So in this case, you don't have to load the product table separately and sales fact table. In your query, let's say you are using 10 tables, right? In the from class, product dimension, sales fact, customer dimension, and store dimension, date dimension, region dimension, brand dimension, category dimension, subcategory dimension. Instead of so if you specify all the tables in your SQL query, you don't have to load each and every table separately. But if you wanted to see the slicing and dicing based on different combination of dimensions, you need to load each and every table. There are scenarios, for example, you cannot perform certain operations certain operations. If you think, let's say you are an expert in SQL query, you write everything, the logic here itself, okay, and then you will put it directly here, you will execute it, okay. Certain ad hoc analysis you can do it here itself. This query has already been written by someone else, but you want to see in visual form, can simply execute instead of loading each and every table separately. You can, this is another way. And the next one is the stored procedure, how we can invoke a stored procedure from the SQL Server. Okay, let me, for that, I'm going to, 1 second. So hope you understood how to connect to SQL Server in both import as well as the direct query mode, and how to execute a query in both import as well as direct query, in the Power BI desktop.